If he had 36 minutes, his per 36.
All right, so I'm sorry, I got a lot of stuff I got to look around. We're gonna take this speed. We're gonna take this to 1.25. All right, so we're gonna get that set, and we're gonna play this out. This is about an 8-minute video. I don't know if we're gonna play the whole thing, but we're gonna get this thing going. So let's get this thing. All right, here we go. All right, this is Gil's Arena. This is Gil's Arena, and this is Gilbert Arenas on what Bronny James would do if he played 36 minutes.
If he was an NBA, if they played him 36 minutes, he would be averaging 12, 4, and 4. He'd be top 5 for Rookie of the Year. When have we ever attacked a rookie player? Huh? We still haven't even attacked last year's player for flopping, if any of them flopped.
Wait, a rookie player?
Last year's flop. What's the top 10? Do we know any of them? Besides Wemby?
No, but let's of course. Yeah, but let's go into the
We're
years.
talking about like 40, $50 million people. And we don't have nothing to say bad about them. Because as Hoopers, you give them the opportunity. You know damn well those first couple games Bronny gets in 1 minute, 3 minute pop. He ain't playing well.
For sure.
Number one picks don't even play well with that kind of time.
For sure. Nobody does.
The targeted, you go out your way.
You're comparing that to, you're comparing a regular person in the situation of being a 55th pick to a guy who's the son of a billionaire who has his own platform where he has millions of kids following him. There's not a comparison for that.
You get the same.
This is a weak argument right here. So basically, he's basically saying because of Bronny James' last name, you can't compare him to a number 1 or number 2 or number 3 overall pick, even though he was the 55th pick. I think that's a weak argument. I think that's very weak. I'm not saying Rashad is weak. I'm saying I believe his argument is weak because you can easily compare them because you have other NBA players' sons who are in the NBA. Kenyon Martin is on this show. His son is in the NBA. Scottie Pippen, his son is in the NBA. So you have other NBA players who are known, well known. And, you know, Kenyon Martin was the number 1 overall pick. Scottie Pippen's in the Hall of Fame. So I just don't think that's a good argument. I think that's an argument you make when you just don't want to admit that he's the 55th pick. Yeah, he has a big following, but he's the 55th overall pick. You know, 55th pick, second round. Second round picks rarely make it in the league after 3 years. So I don't think this is a good argument.
You can't say, oh, we're going to compare this to another 55th second round pick. It's not even close.
But you're getting the same minutes.
It don't matter. My expectation is way higher.
Your expectation is not way higher. Your name brings you more attention, but your expectation is you're going to be the 55th pick and you're not getting consistent minutes. That's what it is. It's just because the name that's on your back, you can always flip that argument and say, okay, well, if we take the person who was picked 54, who doesn't have the name, and we look at what they produce, would we criticize them the same way based on what they produce? If the answer is no, that proves that that's a weak argument because the strongest part that you believe in your argument is because of his last name and who his father is, but you would hold nobody else to that standard. That's a bad argument.
Because of who I am. Period.
My expectations.
Period.
I got picked 55th.
Don't matter
Where's
where you.
Where's the
we know where we know you
Like,
keep
what
saying that
picks are I
because
gonna get?
we know you keep saying that because the 55th slot was the Lakers.
So
Do you know if the
so
Lakers
the
had
55th
another
pick-
slot that
55th
wasn't
pick?
55?
They had 17.
They would have tried to get that slot.
They had 17.
They drafted Dalton Connect.
Dalton fell to that slot.
And
They
they
fell to that slot. He was the
So you see how quick, man, these are just some weak arguments because they had a pick before 55. So if that was the case, if the Lakers was taking Bronny, regardless of where they took him, they were just going to take him. Just like they just said, they had 17. They could have took him at 17 and they didn't. So it's one of them situations where this is just an easy argument to break down because they had a pick before 55 and they didn't take him there.
best available. But imagine if we don't got a 55th pick and this is the only pick we got at 17 and it's the only chance we can get Bronny, we're going to try everything in our power to get this 17th pick.
That is not reality, though.
Exactly. It's not reality. And another thing, this is more so, you know, when I'm kind of leaning at when I'm trying to pick the right name for the show. When people want to bring you into these hypotheticals, it's just muddy in the water. It's muddy in the water because we know exactly what happened. They had 2 picks. They had 17, 55. They didn't pick him at 17. They picked him at 55. So trying to bring in a hypothetical of what they would have done is something you would never know. That's just blowing air. That's something we don't need to discuss. All we have to do is discuss what they did. So usually when you're in any form of debate or any type of argument and a hypothetical has to be brought in, that is a losing argument. They already lost the argument, and that's why they're trying to change the argument to something different.
Reality is like why are you pretending to sound like one of them?
I haven't watched this full thing, but that's funny because that's basically what I just said.
Let's say Bronny don't get picked. Are you going to tell us that LeBron James and the Lakers wouldn't have signed him as a free agent and whoever they picked with the 55th pick wouldn't have got cut? Are we going to pretend that wasn't going to be the case? No matter where he went, he was going to be on the Lakers. You know why? Because he's the money bag himself.
Because he the what?
The money bag.
So it got nothing to do with basketball. And now you don't.
Rashad was on his phone when Gilbert was making his points. He heard him say money bag and say they don't got nothing to do with basketball. But let's see where he take it.
Don't want to get criticized. Now he just told us he's the money bag. People who want to watch basketball didn't sign up to see a money bag. We want to.
This don't have nothing. So remember, this started because Gilbert said per 36, Bronny would average 12, 4, and 4, and he would be top 5 for Rookie of the Year. And now, because Rashad has tried the last name argument that didn't work, he tried the hypothetical, he would have got drafted somewhere else. Another point didn't work. Now he's latching on to he's the money bag, and that don't have nothing to do with basketball. So let's see where this goes. This is funny because I haven't watched this video through. A lot of videos I've watched them through, but I haven't seen this one through. So this is funny. Three different argument attempts.
So what he just exposed as him being the money bag, that is what's wrong with the encounter. When you see, everyone sees and no one's saying anything. This is the money bag. We can see. This is the thing that brings the attraction. But don't act like it's not. We don't see. We got eyes. We can see what's going on. So why can't we criticize?
So the 54th pick, are you watching?
That has nothing to do with what the actual argument is. It's funny. Gil just let him talk. Gil seems like he's about to take him back to the original argument that I made earlier about, the 54th pick, take the name off and see if you were critiquing him the same way you wouldn't.
Watching basketball for him?
Don't matter.
They do.
He don't play for the Lakers. He don't play for the Lakers.
Who is the 54th pick?
Nobody knows.
Whoever plays for the Lakers, you gonna know.
You
gonna know.
He can't tell you who the 7th or the 8th pick is.
Yeah. The old dude,
the
old dude from the G League, they popped up number 20. They was shooting them threes. They gave that chance to. If he would have went on any other team in the world, we'd have never heard another word about dude.
Andre.
So this is that's 3 failed attempts at different arguments, changing the subject. It still didn't answer. He didn't know the pick before Bronny. He doesn't know how he's doing. This is just three bad argument attempts here.
Andre Ingram, play for the Lakers, bro. You play for the Lakers. It's the Lake Show. That's the advantage and the expectation.
What does it have to do with the original argument? The original argument was Bronny would average 12, 4, and 4, be top 5 Rookie of the Year voting. What does any of this have to do with that? This is when I say muddy the water. That's muddy in the water.
Bro, come on. That's like Jeremy Lin in New York, bro.
That's a money bag.
I'm about to say that's a money bag for sure.
Yeah.
You're going to get criticized, though. Jeremy Lin in New York.
No, they about
He didn't criticize.
He was about to get cut. Nobody was.
He was actually a fan favorite.
Yeah,
Nobody
about to trade
You're
Melo
going
for him.
to, though.
But you didn't.
But
they didn't.
I know.
He rose to the occasion. So he could not be. He could not be criticized.
I mean, he had a couple of games.
He balled out.
Bronny's per 36 with the time he's getting. 12 points, 4 assists, 4 rebounds.
And that's in the NBA.
That's in the NBA.
Shad, would you say he's under-delivering with his G League stint?
If he had 36 minutes, his per 36.
So this is where the per 36 came from. So before, the only thing I saw was where he was talking about the per 36. I saw a very short clip of it. I didn't even realize this was 8 minutes. If you hear Josiah, he always says, I'm just merely a host. Josiah said, he asked Rashad, how he feels about Bronny in the G League. And let's see if Rashad responds.
If he was an NBA, if they played him 36 minutes, he would be averaging 12, 4, and 4. He'd be top 5 for rookie of the year.
What would Dalton Connect's numbers be?
The 4-year-old? Oh, no.
The rookie.
They all got drafted to a.
The rookie.
They got drafted to.
So he didn't answer Josiah's question. He's going to what Dalton Connect's numbers would be.
Teams that's trying to win championships, they're not going to play like that.
Huh?
Not going to play.
You just bring
They're not
something up.
gonna
Did you
play.
just move the goalpost?
No, but it's true.
Come on, Rashad. You said that he just moved the goalpost. So you moved the goalpost 4 times in this 8-minute clip. And that, come on, man. So now Gil was about to hit him, I guess, with Dalton Connect's per 36.
If Dalton Connect played, he would be averaging 16, 5, and 4.
You act like first-round picks.
And that's the 17th pick versus
So
55th
wait, hold on.
pick.
So he's averaging 16.
If Dalton Connect played 36 minutes, he would average 16, 5, and 4.
What is Dalton
Bronny would
average
average
right now?
12,
I
4,
think 9 and
At the age of
12. 9 and
I mean,
That means what?
that's fucking good.
No, you know.
So I watch this show from time to time when I could catch it. Man, that was a quick 4 L's for Rashad right there. That was a quick 4 L's. He's rubbing the leg. He don't even want to look at Gilbert because I think he thought that Dalton Connect's numbers was going to show 27, 5 and 5 or something like that, and it didn't. So he probably don't want to engage that part of the conversation no more.
Pretty 36. So what does that sound like? As a rookie,
Like he should be playing for the Lakers.
Connect averaging 9 points, 3 rebounds in 59 games this season, playing 20 minutes
You
per
got to
game.
be minutes for people, though.
Right? No, he should be playing, right? Based on the stats. Ronnie should be playing for the Lakers.
No,
Based on
ain't
per
no
36
minute for
and the
him.
stats.
So he asked a question about Dalton Connect, and then he just refused to acknowledge it because it didn't play into where he thought it was going to go. So this is funny, man, because I haven't seen this. This is funny. I think Rashad takes the Skip Bayless role without doing the research that Skip Bayless did. So what Skip Bayless perfected was his ability to have stats that closely resembled what he was saying, but then you could always find better stats that would just, disprove the stats that Skip will find. So Skip was real big on, finding the last 5 minutes of a game or the last. I remember Skip, when they was talking about the LeBron clutch stuff, he would go to the last 30 seconds. And then when that didn't work because LeBron was leading all those clutch stats, he went to go ahead or game tying with with the game on the line. And then when LeBron hit those stats, he just kind of gave up. He just said, I don't think he's clutch. I would just take Michael over him because he's not clutch. And, even when the stats ran out and the stats no longer work, he just kind of, did that. So I think Rashad plays the Skip role without the stats. That's why he always says, go to the stats. Or he used to say, I don't know if he's been saying that this year on the show, but he used to say, stat man, yeah, that's me. Whenever somebody would bring up stats, because he didn't like the use of stats, because stats would, they would disprove his argument. So let's see.
there's no minutes. What are we going to play him at?
Why you don't got no minutes?
Over Luka? What were we playing?
Over
Like, you know
Lemon
how
Daddy?
it is.
Dave Vincent?
Shamar Moore?
No.
The Lakers and the
Okay.
Lakers.
As a rookie,
No,
dog.
the Lakers gonna win. The Lakers gonna win.
drafted to a
What is
playoff
it?
team.
Kobe Bryant came off the bench, man. He was the future. Come on, we know what this looks
I've been
like.
there. I know.
Like,
You got
why we-
a 5
Come on, let's not do this.
Gabe Vincent averaging 6 points.
It's sporadic.
No, I'm just saying, if Kobe came off the bench and he was the future, they knew who he was. They convinced Shaq he's coming. And
Kobe
he came
wasn't
off
in
the
the
bench.
second round. He wasn't in the second
Of
round.
course not.
Pick. What are you talking
But
about?
nobody expected
He
him.
was the number 1 player out of high school,
It
bro.
was a second round
Exactly.
pick. It was a second round pick
Exactly.
that year he got drafted, though.
Nobody bashed him.
Who was that guy?
Yes, they
Rashad, you just disproved your own point. So Kobe, they knew who Kobe was going to be. He was the number 1 player coming out of high school. They drafted him. They still brought him off the bench. So if they brought him off the bench knowing what they expected him to be, why wouldn't Dalton Connect come off the bench knowing that Dalton Connect doesn't have the upside potential of a Kobe Bryant? Rashad is 0 for 5 in this segment, and it ain't even been 8 minutes
did
yet.
bash him.
Who got drafted second round for the Lakers that year Kobe made it? What was first round?
Nobody.
I'll make
No,
this
they don't.
conversation
I'm just saying.
difficult, man.
No, it's not
Here,
difficult.
man.
I mean, the Lakers in championship
Yeah, it's hard.
tension right now.
Yeah.
So Lakers took Derek Fisher with the 24th pick in that draft.
All right, so we can do this.
That
We
was-
know
that
who
was on
Kobe
good.
Bryant is, right?
What are we doing right now?
First game, 0 for 1.
Oh, we
Second
doing
game,
this?
0 for 1.
Why are you?
So Rashad doesn't like when Gilbert goes in, and I it's an analogy. I can't remember where I heard this analogy, but you'll hear people say that they're gonna kill a gnat with a hammer, and that's what Gilbert is doing. He already has disproved 5 of Rashad's attempts to move the goalposts, and now he doesn't like that he's still going in even further on what he said. You know, he wants to just move on, be done with it. He don't want to be done with it. But this is where Gilbert is like, nope. Now I gotta lock in, and you know what I'm saying. I gotta smash this gnat with a sledgehammer.
You using Kobe though?
Because he's a great.
Because you bashing my guy. You pulling up all my Kobe stats. Talk about 0 for 1, 0 for 2. Like, why do you use Anthony Hardaway, bro? Use your favorite player.
Okay, then Kobe.
Use Anthony.
But let Gil read the stat.
Dang, that's weird.
No, it's
That's
weird.
weird.
Like LeBron.
okay.
LeBron
We know who
playing,
Kobe. We know what Kobe was. Ranked number 1, right? Ranked number 1. They got Shaq using his name. They traded for. He was the future. As a rookie, you're this great.
He only averaged 7 points.
First game, 0 for 1, 6 minutes. 0 for 1 again. 2 for 3. He played 17 minutes, 3 for 8. Then 0 for 3, 1 for 2, 1 for 4. Like, that's what a rookie looks like. So if this is what the great look like as a rookie, why would you bash and put so much effort in bashing what the 55th pick looks like with these same numbers?
That was funny. Y'all got to see me. Y'all got to see me react to that clip live because I never watched that full clip. I didn't even know it was 8 minutes long. All right, so. Oh man, that was funny. All right, so let's see. Let's get. I got to get my other screen up here. I got a bunch of screens going, so let's get back to it. Let's keep this. Which one? All right, so we're gonna keep this Bronny story going. So that was Gilbert saying that he believed, you know, Bronny would be top 5 if for Rookie of the Year if he was playing 36 minutes. Funny thing is, we had all this stuff with Stephen A, you know, crying out to LeBron as a father, you know, stop this, Bronny isn't ready. But guess what happened? Actually, let me go back to what I just had up. So we're gonna check out some Bronny highlights here because that's the 7. I think this is the full highlight, 58 seconds here. All right, so we don't need the. I'm just gonna talk over. We don't need the commentary. But you see, he's looking good. He's looking confident. He's not hesitant at all. You see, he's, you know, look at this pass. I like that pass a lot. You know, he's keeping his head up. He's always looking at what's going to happen next. And you can tell when the game is slowing down for a player because they don't think about what they do. They just do the moves. You see that move right there. There was no hesitation. This right here, no hesitation. Everything he's doing is just in the flow. When he first started getting minutes, you see that? No hesitation. You go under, I'm shooting it. That's what you're supposed to do. Nice move there. So you see there's no hesitation. He's just going after it. He's just attacking. All right, I wanted to get that shown right there. So that is the basis of what happened with Bronny. Let me see. I got to pause this. So, you know, we're doing it live over here. So I got to pause that to make sure it's not going to be playing in the background. All right, so that's the basis. So Bronny, Gilbert Arenas said that's what he would be averaging. Stephen A was crying out to LeBron as a father. Bronny looked confident going against NBA players. Damian Lillard wasn't playing that night. I almost call him Dame Dash. Damian Lillard wasn't playing that night, but the Bucks were still had other starters like Giannis playing. There was even a highlight in there where it looked like Bronny did cross over Giannis, but because he's a rookie, he's not going to get that call. Giannis definitely grabbed his arm to make sure he wasn't on the highlight reel. Bronny didn't get the call though. So now we make our way back to Stephen A. Smith. And this is one of those times where, let me get the clip going. Let's get to the right spot. Let's go ahead and hit play. I think he's going to wrap up.
The Lakers took a 118-89 loss to the Bucks last night, but
this is one of those things where, you know, last week, if you remember, I said, hopefully this is the last time we talk about this. And Nick Wright was saying, hey, you got to learn how to take an L. I agree. So you got to just learn how to take an L and just keep it moving forward. Because the longer you don't admit when you take an L, you're just going to drag it on further than it needs to be. So this is Stephen A. After Bronny clearly showed that he belongs in the NBA.
But it didn't come without some wins. Bronny James, a career-high 17 points, shooting 7 for 10 with 5 assists and 3 rebounds in 30 minutes of play. James Jr. even had a highlight moment crossing up former MVP Giannis Antetokounmpo. Here's head coach J.J. Redick postgame.
Not surprised by tonight. And I think his confidence is growing. I think the next step is just, becoming like an elite conditioned athlete, because when he does that with his physical tools and just his like burst and his handle, and we think he's going to be an above average to really good NBA shooter. He's gonna have a chance to really make an impact.
All right, we know JJ was a shooter himself, and he said above average to really good shooter is his potential. Stephen A., what did you think of Bronny's performance last night?
I was very impressed. I was very impressed because I saw an elevation in his level of confidence and poise. It was like it didn't really faze him. He didn't look as nervous as he had looked in previous appearances on the basketball court. He looked like somebody that belonged. Now, obviously, Milwaukee gave it to them last night, but just looking at the Lakers, without LeBron, without Luka, without Rui Hachimura, without Austin Reeves, of course, that put Bronny James in a position where he could get his 30 minutes. But give credit where credit is due. There were some moves that he put out on the court, ball handling skills, getting to the basket, finishing at the basket, pulling up for jumpers, hitting a three, 17.7 to 10 shooting from the field. I was impressed, okay? This is the big picture here that I want to bring up. I might have been wrong. Are you listening, LeBron James?
Come on, man. I might have been wrong. He was wrong. You were wrong. Because you didn't take into you didn't factor in all the reasons why Bronny was actually playing. And there was one other reason that I totally forgot about. When Bronny actually ended up playing in Philly, that was on the second night of a back-to-back. He wasn't there. They had a bunch of injuries, and it was the second night of a back-to-back after injury. So they called him up, and he had to fly in to even play in that game. So it wasn't, their original intent for him to even be playing like that. So I might have been wrong. Come on, man. Just take the L. Just you can move away from this faster, but I don't believe Stephen A. wants to move away from this. I think he is enjoying that this is going to be a boost for views and things like that. So he's going to ride out this thing talking about Bronny and talking about LeBron, even though, we know how dejected he looked when it first happened, how dejected he looked when it first happened, and how he said he didn't want to keep talking about it. So we're gonna hear him out, but then we're going to move along.
Are you listening, James family? Are you listening, Rich Paul? Are you listening, all you people? Because here's my position. My position was all along, Bronny James needed to be in the G League. Put him in the G League, let him be in the G League his first year. And then after that, let him come on, because I've always believed that this kid has the potential, once I watched him, to be in the NBA. But what I saw last night made me say to myself, wait a minute. He keeps showing up and playing like that. J.J. Redick and his staff obviously doing an exceptional job coaching him. The G Leaguers obviously doing a good job of preparing him. Him sitting on the bench, learning, watching the Lakers players, being in practice with them sometimes. Evidently, that seems to be working for him. And if that kind of stuff continues, then indeed he'll be in the league as a bona fide player sooner than later. One game does that make that determination. You need to do more than that. But I wanted to make sure I emphasize that point. And the reason why I want to make sure I emphasize that point, Molly, is because when I was approached by Pops, okay, at courtside and all of this other stuff, I will contend till the cows come. Yeah, tell me about it. I will contend till the cows come home. I was never disrespecting Bronny James. I was the one that didn't watch him in high school because I didn't want to judge him like I would have had.
We just got to call the floor to this. Come on, man. Just say you was wrong. You thought it was going to take a while for him to build up his confidence, and you didn't believe he would be at this point this fast. So I might have been wrong. Doesn't make sense. You were either right or you were wrong. It's clear that you took the side if he wouldn't be ready this year. It looks like he's ready this year, so you're wrong. It's simple. This is where I say that just muddying the waters, just kind of playing in that gray area. Just when you just keep extending out, how you can describe situations. You instead of just saying you was wrong. This video was probably 5 minutes too long. All he had to do was say, hey, I was wrong. He got up to speed a lot faster than I thought he would. But we could be done and move on. So we're going to cut that there. We got more. We got more that we're going to get to on this Bronny situation. I agree with just about everything they said there. I would say that last thing, I don't agree with Nick. And also, he didn't say a bunch of these guys. He said some of these guys watching League Pass. But at the same time, if you just go back, you look at LeVar Ball. LeVar Ball, he put the target on Lonzo's back. And I remember Patrick Beverley was going at Lonzo Ball in his first game. But if you look at it, look at how quick things have changed. Lonzo Ball, he went through a lot of injuries, but he's still in the league. Patrick Beverley's out the league. You look at LaMelo. He always said LaMelo was going to be the best out of the three. And look at LaMelo, he's doing well, really well with the Hornets. So, it's one of those things where I think for you to get that confidence, it's good to hear, your father saying, hey, you the best. You better than them. That's really good for their confidence. So, we see how it worked out. We saw how people attack LeVar Ball. And it's funny because now the narrative is kind of changing because the vision that LeVar Ball had for his sons, people didn't see it. He saw it. Now everybody is like trying to give LeVar Ball his props and saying, oh man, he's a GOAT dad at top and, all this stuff. And it's like, but how did y'all not see this in the moment, that, he was building them up. So, I don't think it's the biggest hiccup as people want to make it. I think people want celebrities, athletes, entertainers. They want them to kind of eliminate the human side of themselves and never make a mistake. But then at the same time, they want them to open up and be honest. And you don't get both. Like if you look at it, people always complain about Kevin Stefanski and in his post-game interviews and stuff like that, post-game press conference, I should say, my bad. And they say, oh man, he doesn't give you anything. And it's like, look what the media does when you give them anything. They're bringing up this tweet from 2 years ago where LeBron said, Bronny is better than some of these guys. Look at his quickness. Look at his athleticism. Look at him understanding the game. Would you say that there's players that he's better than? Of course. There's players in the draft that he's in this year that he's better than. So I don't see that as a problem. People want to bring that up. People want to act like, LeBron said he's going to be the next GOAT. LeBron didn't say that. He just said he's better than some of these guys I'm watching on League Pass. So I don't think that's an issue. This is where you muddy the waters. Everybody wants the athletes to be honest, be themselves. But then at the same time, when you critique them and criticize them, with doing things that they're even doing as parents, it doesn't make sense. Why would I open myself up to criticism by being honest if you're going to be bringing up tweets from 2 years ago where I said something that now you can look and, see objectively that I wasn't lying, and you still try to hold that against a person. So, that when you muddy the waters and, you don't have things, things aren't, black and white. This is what happens. So then people turn into robots. They don't give you any sound bites. They don't give you any clips. You just look at the face of the NBA and how Anthony Edwards like, I don't want to be the face of the NBA because y'all basically just going to scrutinize my life. I just want to come here and play basketball. Kevin Durant said the same thing. I just want to come here and play basketball. And y'all get mad at him for not wanting to sign up for the additional scrutiny. And it's like, look what y'all did. You got these people who they basically made a name for tearing down athletes, because this whole debate style thing that people do in sports shows is not debate where you go point for point. They turned it into where instead of you arguing why your point is better, you tear down the other person. And we don't even got to go to how everybody talks about LeBron and Michael Jordan. We can go to 2 years ago. It was 2 years ago when Jokic was up, could have been up for his third MVP, and everybody was basically saying that, not everybody, Kendrick Perkins said that basically because of Jokic's skin color, that was the only reason why they was looking at making him, a 3-time MVP instead of Joel Embiid getting MVP. And when you do those things, how can you not expect people to respond? So just a little tangent right there. I got one more video on this Bronny topic. I thought this was pretty funny.
We do have some breaking news.
Okay. Breaking news.
Breaking.
It is breaking.
What's that?
Stephen A. Smith came out today and said, I might have been wrong about Bronny James.
Damn.
What's y'all thoughts on this one?
I mean, is he just saying that to, because he got pressed?
Right.
That's what it kind of say. Like one game, now you're like, man, I might have been wrong. This nigga might be the next Jordan. I don't know. Like, come on, I don't know. It seems like a bit much. Strong stance. What do you think, DJ?
I mean, I might have been wrong about what? I mean, he just started his career. So,
Right.
Like, why are you putting so much expectation on him already? He's a rookie. Like, what do you mean you might have been wrong about what?
About what exactly?
Huh?
About the stuff he was saying about him.
What is
I think a lot of people are wrong because you have to give things time. Everybody wants him to come in like LeBron James, and that's just not.
It's not
what it
realistic, yeah. Also, he's not even the size of LeBron. Like, it's just, there's so many things.
You know what's really funny about the whole situation is everybody talks about, is he above criticism? Like, no one's above criticism.
Right.
You just got to criticize everybody. Like, everybody. Like, 1 through 60. And, with Bronny James right now, I know this is a fun fact that nobody knows because nobody actually pays attention to anybody. Out of last year's draft and this year's draft, he has more points than 29 players.
Wow.
And no one's criticized them for starting off a little rough. So, yeah, it's only because he's famous.
Where were those?
Get at his dad.
Where were those 29 drafts?
Oh, some of them in the first round, some are lottery picks in the second round. Yeah, it's across the board.
Okay.
And I think out of the 21, 22, 23 class, majority, I think over 40-something kids are out of the NBA.
Damn. Okay.
Yeah, it's just one of those things, man, where it's like a code of young players. You actually try to let them develop. If you notice, we don't talk about last year's draft. None of those guys are on our radar to bash their talent. 2023 draft, we haven't attacked any of those guys. Usually it's like 4 drafts. Your 4th year is when we really like, okay, it's been 4 years now. What's up? To start depicting his game this early in his career is just some weirdo shit. But that's it. I mean,
Well, that's because they can't pick on.
I think the first guy, I don't know who that is. He kind of danced around it. But it's funny because when you bring those type of stats to the conversation, people look at it totally different. When you say, hey, guys from 2 years ago are out the league. 40 guys are out the league. When you look at, last year and this year, he has more points than 29 other guys, who were drafted. And I want to get it's only 2 rounds in the NBA draft. So it can only be a couple guys who are drafted after Bronny. Probably, I mean, if it's 30 picks, both rounds, you got 10 guys who are drafted after Bronny. So let's say all 10 of those guys score less. That's still another 19 guys who were drafted before Bronny who has less points than him. And some of those guys are in year 2. So, when you just break it down, and I'm just being generous saying those other guys were drafted behind him. Well, we know most likely they were drafted before him. So, it's one of those things where people just don't want to face facts and be honest about the arguments that they make. Just like Gilbert said there, if you're going to cover the NBA, cover everybody in the NBA. Don't just cover the people who give you the clicks and the views. All right, so we